Oh,
Dude,
wow.
yeah. Yeah, man. Okay. So what did we do? What did we do? We hopped on here at like 3 o'clock.
Dude, this is what a shit show this has been this
It
week,
really,
this
it
entire
really,
weekend. Good Lord, man. Uh, yeah.
you doing okay though? You doing all right?
Golly, man. It's what is this, like take eight?
I think
I've
so.
lost count. Lost count.
I don't even know. I don't even know what take it is anymore. I basically just I wish that it would give me like actual like error messages to like, hey, like this is why this happened, so that I could actually try to figure it out. But no, we
Uh,
can't do that. Can't do
no, that's
that.
too easy. That's too
No,
easy.
way too easy. So hey, I mean, but we're here. We're doing things. We got it. We got it all worked out. This is what happens when you have when you have a podcast and you don't have a dedicated really like tech support group. You just have well, you got the two of us and we try to put our heads together.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, just move this thing around. Move that. Fuck it. See if that works. I don't
Press
know.
that button.
Yeah,
See what that button does.
yeah. Well, we're here.
Yeah, man. We're here.
All vibes.
All the vibes with Jimmy and Derek. This is what happens. Look, we've been we'll talk. It's funny how we're talking about like creativity and like how we're how we go about our processes and what we do to, either make our own content or collab together. And we get so many questions like, hey, like how many takes? Well, let me just tell you
Yeah,
the amount
right.
of takes it
Yeah.
took us to even try to get this episode out.
Seriously, dude. Like, we need to do behind the scenes on the behind the scenes episode. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's a it isn't no, that's crazy though.
Oh God, man. Well, hey,
We
listen.
tried it like 3 times yesterday. This is like the third time today.
Yep, it sure is. Yeah, because we're trying to get a head start. We try to get a head start on it, throughout the week, throughout the weeks and stuff, so that we're not like, pressing ourselves to get these episodes out because we do them, like twice a month, so like every other Friday. By the way, I really appreciate all of you for listening and supporting and everything.
Much appreciated.
That first episode actually, I went back and I checked. It actually doubled. Uh,
Hey, all
yeah,
right, all
man.
right. See, yeah,
We're
that's what
see,
we like to see. That's what we
see,
like to see.
we're doing the things. We're doing the things. And I know, listen, I know I asked you this yesterday, but damn it, we don't have it recorded. Now I got to ask you to repeat yourself because this is what happens. This is what happens when we were on a roll too. That's the other thing. I'm not bitter, okay? I'm not at all. But
Yeah.
so we talk about creativity and we talk about again like how we go about our processes, right? Our Whether we are creating content on our own or we are collabing together, putting our minds together, putting our ideas out there, and and just making honestly, making the magic that a lot of people are very impressed with. Every
Mhm.
time we put one out, to the point where people are like, "Hey, like how does it look? Why does it look like you're in the same house? Like,
Right.
why?"
Yeah.
We've never met in person, by the way. Derek and I have been friends for, I don't, gosh, for almost
4 years.
four and a
Yeah,
half,
we've never met.
four. Yeah, never met in person. I mean, it's gonna happen
Or
one day.
have we?
Oh, I may have
Well,
just, I may have
you never
spoiled it.
know.
I may have
You never
spoiled it.
know. Maybe
Uh,
we have. Maybe some of those videos we are in the same house.
you never know. You never
It's the
know.
illusion. That's the illusion.
I
Yeah.
have to say, but but just going off of like the the foundation of it though, as far as like being creative, like what does that mean to you? Because I feel like it means a lot of things to a lot of different people. I don't really think it's tailored to one specific thing because I really do feel like it depends on the person. Um,
Right.
so yeah.
Yeah, and like I mean, I did answer this yesterday, and I'll probably give a completely different answer today since it's it's a whole different podcast. But
We're
yeah,
not
I mean
angry.
yeah, no, we're not bitter at all. Um, I think it really does. It depends on the person. Everybody has going to have a different um definition of creativity or a different approach to how their creative process, which that right there, honestly, is kind of the definition, I feel like, of creativity. It's like everybody is so different. Like being creative, yeah, it's hard to explain, but I for me personally, it's like it's it's trying to be different, but with stay within yourself, I guess, you know. Like I personally, when I try to be when I look at being creative and creative process, I might do something similar to somebody, but I got to put my own spin on it. You know what I mean? That to me, that's the way. Because when you talking about TikTok specifically, like everybody does, like for the most part, the same thing. I try to put as much of a spin on it as possible, be different as possible. That way, it's can try and make it my own. That to me, that is my creative type process. Because like when you first start TikTok, everybody's doing the same exact thing, literally, like the same caption, the same everything, and then kind of realize like, oh, this is kind of lame. And then me personally, like I said, I try and do I might do the same exact trend somebody's doing, but I'm going to do it a different way. That to me, that's my definition. That's how I go about being creative.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
No,
yeah,
I love, but I love, I love when you do that though. Like, I like when people put their own spins on it because at the end of the day, you are right. I mean, especially when it comes to, certain sounds, certain ideas, whatever it might be, that everybody's pretty much doing the same thing. I mean, they
right.
are like, and I think certain people don't really want to, I think maybe there just might be a few that really don't want to admit that, like, no, it's not, it's not the same. Well, yeah, I mean you're doing the same thing, but but also you're doing it in your own way. And I like when people put their own spin on it. But at the same time, you kind of have to like know who the person is, right?
Right.
You could see some like random person making a piece of content where but you've seen it or you've heard that sound or you've seen that idea so many different times before that you don't really know that person's creativity when you look at them at first if you don't know who they are because you're just like, all right, this is just another person, like but when you and I know each other like we do or we know other creators like we do, we kind of get that sense of like a little bit more appreciation for it because we could say, oh yeah, like, oh man, look at that, like,
Mm-hmm.
it's I I'm a fan of that. Um creativity to me is really like what you're passionate about, who you are as a
Right.
person, the things that you put out into the world and like how you go about, I guess like really how you go about your business, how you go about your process, which is a lot again what we're going to be talking about here today. Um but that to me is my definition of creativity. Like and I love how, what I think that I think also at the same time, like I go, what's your definition of creativity? Well, I don't really know if there's a definition. I think you could kind of like categorize it in different ways, but I don't really know
Right.
if there's an actual definition. Like there's probably one in, I don't know,
I mean, I'm
dictionary.
sure there is an actual
There is an
definition, but
actual, yes, there is an actual definition of creativity, which is fine. But doing this as long as we have, I mean, yeah, it can be so many different things. But that's why
yeah.
I've always had an appreciation for like the things that, like the things that you do because, you do so many different things that like kind of bring out I feel like certain aspects of you probably as a person. And the more that I've gotten to know you, the more I'm sitting there and now I look at this stuff. Like you actually did a repost of Training Day.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
did a repost of Training Day. And I was like, and I'm sitting there and I'm just like, and you did, I think you actually put in your caption, like, you got to focus, like, you're focusing on the art of it. Like, there is an actual art to a lot of this lip syncing stuff. And I think people look at it and they're kind of like, nah, it's just a lip sync. Like, what's the, like, I don't think you actually know until you've actually tried it. Like,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. There really is an art to it. It's hard to explain to some people. Because like anybody can mouth the words to something. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
but to me, there's a difference between mouthing the words and getting every word right. Don't obviously, but there's a difference between mouthing the words and like lip syncing and like becoming that like that character. And like with me, I can't speak on anybody else for anybody else, but like I know sometimes where there's like a certain like person, maybe you got to like move your mouth a certain way and like it, you, there's just certain like intricacies to make it look like it's actually you saying the words. Because, like I said, anybody can mouth the words to something, but does it actually look like it's you talking? No, a lot of times it doesn't. And like, and I appreciate the art of it, and like I'll watch it, but I'm like, that doesn't look like you at all. And I mentioned this to my good friend Claudia Ravioli, who's an excellent lip syncer, but like she did a lip sync of um Eminem, Rap God. And while don't get me wrong, that's very impressive. I was far more impressed with her lip sync she did of like Aaron Brockovich, because
Yeah.
that legitimately looked like her speaking. And I told her that I was like, this is by far my favorite lip sync of yours. Like you can throw a Rap God at me at all. See, that's one of those things where it's like when it's so fast, it almost does you a disservice as far as it does it is it a good lip sync? Because like I'll see that brought up all the time when the lip sync battles pop up on TikTok, and it's like, yes, it's impressive that you have that memorized and you can do all that, but to me, if it's much more impressive if you slow it down and it actually looks like you talking, because I it's so fast that I know it's not you talking. I know it's not you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you actually were to like just come out and do it, like the Rap God lyrics and just like say them yourself, that's more impressive than actually lip syncing it. But like the lip syncing it to me is just there's certain sounds or whatever that it's far more impressive when it's like legitimately looks like you are saying the words. And I know you do as well, pride ourselves on making it look as real as possible. But when it's just you know, mouthing the words, it's a very different. And I think unless you're in it, you don't really notice. But you know, we notice.
We no, and you know what? It's actually really it's actually really great that you mention it that way. Like you're kind of doing yourself like the whole doing yourself a disservice thing, because I truly feel like when you're doing if there's something that's so fast, like you almost really can't capture the emotion of everything that
Right.
is actually happening there, right? Like I don't know. I'm not gonna lie to you. I have no idea what Claudia did with the Eminem Rap God thing. I didn't even see that.
I
But
mean, don't get me wrong, she nailed it.
no, of
But
course,
it's like as
yeah,
far as like the specific lip syncing, I'm like, yo, I would
yes.
take that Aaron Brockovich
Over the fast
clip.
stuff,
Oh
I,
yeah, any
I would
day
take
because
it
it
over that.
legitimately looks like her. Yeah,
Well, Aaron
yeah.
Brock. Well, you think about it.
And I mean, she's a bunch of those, but like that one specifically, I remember watching.
Right.
I'm like, yo, that's the one.
Well, you think about it. Well, you
But
think about it though. Aaron Brockovich is such an emotional film. Like it's so like and Julia Roberts did such a great job at portraying Aaron Brockovich. I mean, I think she won an Academy Award for that. I'm pretty sure she did. But I mean, it was a great piece of acting. It was a great film either way. And when you can put yourself in that and you like you are able to slow it down and the words that are coming out have so much meaning and so much power. I do prefer I prefer that. Like,
yeah,
and it's no, and again, it's not taking away from the skill of somebody lip syncing. It's not
oh for
taking
sure,
away from the skill of it. It's the fact that I think it's just all about like kind of like personal preference. When I can watch somebody's video and they can pull me in. I don't care if it's a lip sync or if it's something that they're doing with their own voice. If they can pull me in and they can help me have a like feel a feeling, I will sit there and I will hit that follow button because that's how like I want to see more of this.
right.
I don't think that that's all the creator does. I don't think that's the sole thing that they do. But when they can pull me in like that and they can help me feel a feeling, man, I go I would prefer the slow, more calculated, like, you know, get the emotions all behind it and everything like that. I, I would totally agree with you on that. Like, I'm almost wondering, like, just speaking of Claudia, like, I don't even know if you guys have talked about it, you know, before, but like, I don't know how she like preps herself for that. Like, that's just, I mean, like, because I mean, that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah,
That's part of what we're talking about today. And I guess I'll go right into it. Like, you know, with me and like my process specifically, I guess like I really first of all, let's just be real. Like trying to just get through, well, first of all, trying to get through the day, number one. Like just trying to get
Or a
through the day,
podcast.
trying to get through the day, trying to get through the podcast and all that stuff without having so many stupid tech issues that you're just like, what are we even doing here? But you know, I would say like if I do like to I like to scroll for ideas. Okay, first off, I like to scroll for ideas, but and this by no means is a set in stone process because in all honesty, like I haven't had a ton of time to get really into it as much as I would like, and I've definitely had to pull back a bit because of other, other responsibilities and everything like that. But I will scroll for a little bit and I'll try to find some ideas. But again, I gotta feel it. Like I gotta feel it. Like I
Hmm.
can't force any of it because then if I do, there have been times where I have tried to force it and then all of a sudden I'm done and I go, ugh. And that was just that that could have been so much better. I don't want to do no,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah. We've
no.
been there. I've been
We
there.
have, right? We
Yeah.
have, yeah.
Yeah.
We've all been there. But like, but it just depends on like what kind of content I like to do as well, because that's another part of like what we do as creators, you and I, is that we don't do just one thing. We do a bunch of different things. We have different variations, different variety. Like it's just we do a lot of different things. But like I said, I'll scroll if there's an idea that I have, I'll try to write it down or I save it, save it to favorites or something like that. Put it in like a playlist or what are those called? Like collections that you can create for yourself, that kind
Hmm.
of thing within TikTok at least. I know you can save a bunch of stuff in Instagram as well. Um, but yeah, like again, really got to be able to feel it and think that this is something that, number one, that makes me happy, and number two, something that I feel would put a lot of energy and a lot of good out there. So, I don't know, but like I mean, you've been asked so many different times, like how, freaking A, man, like how many takes, like how do you do the lip syncs? Like, I mean, you're definitely a lot better at it than I am. So I'm very
I don't
curious
know
to
about
see
that.
how do you,
Um,
dude, how do you prep, man? Because I'm floored most of the times at how you do your stuff. You know that.
man, it is a process. It's honestly probably a lot longer than I'd care to admit. But
It's an art, though. I mean, it
it
is.
is, and like you're usually your own worst critic, and I definitely am my own worst critic. Um, and but going back to like what we were talking about before with like the emotion and everything. Um, well, actually, I'll before I get to that, this might surprise people. I have a very hard time like nailing down lines and like it takes me a while to like sometimes because I have a really bad short-term memory, and I will have to I will listen to a line and I'm like, oh, I got it, and then once the playback will come back, I'll be like, oh fuck, what was that? And it happens so often. So like a lot of times in the past, not as much lately, but definitely in the past, I guess in my prime, uh, I was I would just listen. If I had a sound, I'm like, I want to do this one. I would just listen to it over and over again. Like if I was like doing dishes or something, I'll just have that song. I'll just have that audio repeating over and over again, just so it's like fresh in my mind. So then it's like a couple times I have to re-listen to it, and then it'll be refreshed. It'll be fresh in my mind when I actually go to record it. So that was usually my process then. Now it's a little different, or I'm just like yesterday I recorded one, and it took me like probably probably like 15 minutes of listening to it over and over again, literally in a row until I
Yeah.
finally got it. And this was probably like a 15 to 20 second like clip. This wasn't like a monologue or anything. This was a 15 to 20 second clip, but I just kept forgetting the fucking lines, and I'm like, God damn it. So that happens a lot. But once I do get it down, the lines down, I a lot of times actually too, it's literally just recording it, and then I'll be like, okay, I got like 90% of that. And then I'll record it again, like 95. I'll do it again at 100%. I'm like, okay. But I'll watch it, and like while I nail the lip syncing, like it will look like me. I might want to do like a different hand motion, or I might want to do a different, you know.
Yeah.
So like I'll end up doing like, I don't know, 5 or 6 up to 10 takes, but like I nailed it on the second. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll get it right on the second, but I'm like, what if it might look better if I do this, or it might look better if I do this. So like it's literally like acting, like with the different takes where it's like but instead of actually like taking this part and this part and this part, you actually have to get it all. So like I'll do one and I'm like, okay, I got it nailed down. But then I'm like, okay, what if I do this with my hand, or what if I do this with like my with that like my eye or whatever?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'll watch them all back, and I'm like, okay, this worked, that worked, okay, and then I'll do one last take, and I'll try and do all of them that, you know what I mean? So it is a it can be a very long process. Um, but sometimes I'll just be like cut short for time. I'm like, fuck it, that's fine. That's it. But like
Yeah.
when I'm doing like a long New Girl scene or a long Friends scene or something like that, that you know what I mean, or a scene from a movie, something like that, or I'll like that. I'll probably take a little bit of time. But if it's just like a random audio, I'll be like, I just want to get it. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying in that aspect. Well, it's funny that you talk about you talk about like mannerisms and movements and all this different stuff that you're trying to capture. I really do feel like that is the art. Like that's the art portion of it, right? Um Memorizing the lines, man, you talk about short-term memory. I am right there with you. I can't like I will record I will like listen to the sound over and over and over again. And then I'll start the recording and I'll be like, hey, yet. I'm like, nope, nope.
mm,
We're going back. We're going back.
yeah,
That's it. I can't do like it's just one of those it is. It's just one of those things. And you know, the funny thing is like it could be from a movie that you've seen. I don't know how many times.
right, yeah,
I could have seen like Liar Liar, for example, is one of my favorite movies, okay? But I, the scene with the blue pen, I have seen
yes,
that scene. I don't know how many freaking times, and yet I will
right,
go back to it and I'll just be like this. I'll be like, it depends on how long you were following me, and then I'm like, uh, I I know what he says. Like I know
right,
what he says. Come on, like this is so stupid. What am I doing? Um, but again, that's part of that's part of memorizing it, and your, you know, your well, and sometimes, yeah, like sometimes people's attention spans as well because they try to, you know, depending on how much time they have or how much time they're willing to spend on it and all that other stuff. So you really just have to kind of, I think when it comes to capturing the movements and the mannerisms, especially when it comes to, I can't use Chandler as an example. I can't because the reason why, like, I just do things. I'm just me, right? And
right.
literally anybody that I talk to will sit there and they'll just be like, dude, you have Chandler's mannerisms down and you don't even know that you're doing it. And I go, I know. I can't just
I am not doing it, right? Like,
I'm not actually doing it. But so many people have said, including people that I know back home who aren't even in the social media like realm, like they barely even do that stuff. They're just like, we've always called you the Chandler of the group. And I'm like,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, you know, hey, I mean, I'm not, but again, I'm not doing it purposely.
yeah,
So I really can't use that as an example. Although those are still some of the, you know, I always appreciate people's feedback and everything, and I always appreciate how positive people are when I'm doing that kind of stuff. So that's always I
yeah.
always appreciate that. But I would say more of just like when trying to capture the mannerisms of like maybe another character, like such as a Schmidt from
Or
New
yeah,
Girl or even a Nick
or
Miller.
Nick. Yeah,
Yes, like you're trying to capture the mannerisms of them. Like I have to watch. Like I got to go back. I got to actually like watch what they do. I can't just do it off of like photographic memory. I have to go actually watch what they do and then try to like capture that as best as I possibly can. Because
yes.
the one that you and I did, where it was when he was like he was talking to Nick. He was talking to Nick and he's like, why can't you have two wives or something? Like, you know, like or
Oh, right, right.
we could go have a bunch of wives. You get one
But
wife.
a bunch of wives. You
There's
get one
the
wife.
one wife.
Yeah. Why?
What?
Yeah.
But see, even when you said that, like why? Like it's like you know, people can't hear it, but like we're trying to put this out, we're trying to put video of this out as well. So I'm hoping that people will be able to see
Yeah.
the work that we actually do put in for this. But yeah, I love being able to do that though. The mannerisms I will tell you that I am really terrible at capturing is the it's the serious ones. Like
Mm,
I cannot do like like a Vampire Diaries type thing where it's like, you know, like Damon or something, which by the way is like my wife's favorite character. But and like, but I
shout out to
can't.
Damon.
I just
Shout out to Damon.
shout out to Damon. I'm just
Yeah.
saying. All right, but I can't. I can't capture that though. Because I don't
Mm.
even at the end of the day, even though I'm somebody who has like, even though I'm somebody who has my fair share of issues, like, you know, with mental health and stuff like that, and I have my bad days, I still can't take myself like serious enough to be able to just look in the camera and capture something like that. I just can't.
Here's what you need to do. Just picture your podcast equipment not working, because the look on in your face I saw yesterday and part of today, I think you can get, I think you can get it. You just got to channel that inner, inner rage.
I just have to feel like I want to punch a hole through a wall, I guess. Like that's just how.
Yeah. No, it's I get it. I think I've gotten pretty good at it. At
What do you
that.
mean? What do you mean pretty good? Get out of here. You've gotten you're ridiculously good. I don't even
Uh,
you're not giving yourself enough credit. Just don't.
well,
You're
yeah, I
come
don't know.
on.
I guess I think it honestly. I think a lot of it comes from all the years of watching pro wrestling, and like part of me is like, I want to be a heel. I want to be a villain because I am a good guy. I am the nice guy, and in watching pro wrestling a lot and like listening to all the wrestlers talk, and like the biggest villains a lot of times are like the nicest guys in the world, but they're like, yeah, it's just nice. I like to feel the heat, get booed, and like it's just a different energy. And like over the years, I'm like, yeah, I'd probably be a good babyface, a good hero, but oh, man, I think it'd be pretty cool to be a villain. And just practicing that, and like, I don't know, it's and now like when I do the like do
Ha ha.
we're a mature podcast. But when I do like
I was waiting
certain
for you to do it.
wrestlers,
If it wasn't gonna be you, it was gonna be me. So
yeah, when I do like certain wrestlers, I keep saying it, do certain wrestlers, because that's been one that's probably become like one of my favorites when I do like the Jey Uso or Roman Reigns or the Bloodline like wrestling lip syncs, because I can connect my two favorite things. But when I do that, I do have to kind of get serious at certain points and like channel my inner villain sometimes. But the other one that's kind of I've been doing a lot lately is Rio from Good Girls. That
you oh dude, you
which
have.
I love doing that. I
I've
Because it's
have
so
you ever
different from
seen have you ever seen it though? Let me ask. I need to ask that.
so up until probably like a month ago, I had never seen it, but I
Okay.
started watching it.
My point, okay, and the reason why I ask you that is because there are some times where people will say, like, or people will say, oh my God, I loved this when they did this, and you're sitting there and you're like, yeah, I never actually saw it. Um, I never actually saw it, but I'm just here and I'm just acting it out. So I guess I did a pretty good job if that's how people because I've seen people do that where they'll respond like the creators will respond in the comment and they'll just be like, yeah, no, never actually saw this, but just thought I'd give it a try.
Yeah,
Eh,
I see that
eh,
a lot too. Yeah.
yes,
And
yes,
that was
but
definitely the
okay,
case for me. Yeah.
okay,
I had
okay.
never seen it.
That's good to
I was
okay,
doing
that's good
I
to
was doing
know.
Rio
Yeah.
for probably like 2 years, and people were like, "Oh, this is so good. Like you should like," and they'll talk to me about the show, and I'm like, "I've never seen it. I'm sorry." They're like, "What? How have you never seen
Oh
it?
my
Like you got to
God.
see it."
Are you
And
no way.
I will say after watching, I'm like, "Yeah, I should have watched this like 2 years ago." But it is a really good show. But people are like, How can you like do him so well and you've never seen the show?" I'm like, "Well, I saw the clip. Like I've
I
seen like
saw
the
the clip. I
clips.
watched it. Like
That's
I can do
that's
that. I only needed to
but
watch it for like a minute. It's all right.
yeah, yeah. I will say like lately that's probably been my favorite thing to do is Rio, because it's so different from the ones I'm known for. Uh, but yeah, and it's like a different side. It's the bad boy side, and
Yeah.
it's cool. It's cool to like not
I
just be
want to.
Elmo or
I
David
know.
Rose.
I want to. God,
Do it,
I want to bring that out of me. I
do
do.
it.
Okay, I
You
do.
can, bro.
Listen to me.
I've
How
seen
I'm
you do
talking.
some serious ones. They're
Yeah.
good.
I. Thank you. See, I appreciate
Like,
that. Maybe it's because I haven't like done one in a while, or like I didn't get the engagement that I was hoping for or something. Maybe that's the reason why. Because sometimes you know how it is. A lot of
that
the
is
times
how it
people
is. Yeah.
a lot of times some people, they'll sit there and they'll say, "Oh no, trust me, I'm watching. I've seen it. It's good." And I'm like, "Yeah, I got one comment. What was I like? What?
Yeah.
How am I
Sometimes you just need a
supposed to?"
little validation,
Yeah,
you know?
well, I don't know if
Yeah.
it's yeah, and I want to. It is some validation. I'm not gonna lie to you, sure. Like because yeah, especially if you're doing something where you're acting out a character, like dude, hell yeah, you're gonna want some validation from that because you're gonna want to make sure you do it justice.
Yeah.
Or somebody if somebody says like, hey, like you did this in your own way, but you still captured that character really well. Like, yeah, of course. Like that's, dude. I used to be a theater kid. I used to be. Not gonna lie to you. And
I didn't
although
know that.
you didn't, shoot.
No.
Well, hey,
Breaking news. I did not
hey,
know that.
hey, I did. I used to be a theater kid. I was in eighth. No, I was a freshman in high school, and I played all the sports. Like I did. I played all the sports. I was very much into that, like track, baseball, basketball, football. Got my ass kicked in football, but it doesn't. That's neither here nor there. I was
That's for a
fast.
different podcast.
I was fast. I was fast, and I could catch the ball. Let's just put it that way. That's all they needed me for. But yeah, like even though I was an athlete, I was still very much energetic. Like that part of me never really left, and I was always
Hmm.
I was always very kind and respectful to people. I mean, again, probably an episode for a different time or whatever topic we ever, we talk about in the future. But like, yeah, I mean, I got bullied a little bit too. So it was like, I don't know. It was just funny for me. And somebody was like, like, how come like you're not an actor? And I go, no, like I am not an actor, but I used to be a theater kid. So it kind of makes sense that people would ask.
Yeah,
So
that explains a little bit. I'll tell you. I did not
uh
know that. That's cool.
there, yeah. Hey, well, there
I
you
was not
go.
a theater kid.
Well,
Except for my like
you
fifth
could have
grade
fooled me.
play.
You
Except for my fifth grade play where I excelled in two different parts, guys. Two-part actor.
there you
You
go.
know, I was that
Yeah.
good. They were like, he can't just play the dad. He needs to be the second baseman later. And I was like, you're damn right I do.
That's
Uh,
awesome. That is so cool though. Do you remember what play it was by any chance?
the inside pitch. It was the inside
Wow.
pitch.
Okay. Well,
I
that's
still
all.
have the VHS here somewhere. I think it's the only VHS I still own, but
I
I
was gonna
think I
say
have it
I was
still
gonna
somewhere.
say how many VHSs do you actually own aside from that? Because I
I think that
mean,
is the only one.
oh my God.
Uh, and yeah, I remember I was casted as the dad, no lines. Also the shortest person in the play, probably. And I was playing the dad. So that's interesting casting. But then they needed like a second baseman later. And I was like, they're like, do you want to do it? I was like, yeah.
You kidding?
Made me seem so important, bro. I remember I was like, yeah, I'm playing two parts, guys. Not a
That's what I
not a
do.
single line, not a single line, but I'm playing two parts, you know.
You know what? That's awesome though. And you know what? I think it's gonna make sense for not only the both of us, like now it makes more sense for both of us, but I think it's gonna make more sense for a lot of people because I'm pretty sure they did not know that. I guarantee they did not know that about either of us. So
Well, I
yeah.
mean, there's nothing to know about me.
No,
Everybody was in a school play.
hey, hey,
You were a
listen.
theater kid.
Hey, listen. I will
That's
yeah.
awesome. I
No,
did not
yeah,
know that.
everybody, yeah, that's a good point. Like everybody at one point was put in a play. We're playing hot cross buns or whatever on our recorders or those, God, man,
Not
those.
hot cross buns. Not hot cross buns.
I
Oh
went there.
man.
I went there. I'm putting
Not on
everybody in a
the
time machine
recorder.
right now.
Wow.
Putting everybody in a time machine.
Wow.
But yeah, just leading back, going back to a lot of the stuff that we do though. Like there's been times where I'm not gonna lie to you, things have taken me probably 10 to 20 takes.
Oh, dude.
10 to
Sometimes it'll
20.
take me like an hour and a half to do just one TikTok sometimes.
I, Same. And you know what? And I'm actually not even, it kind of hurts me a little bit when I think about it, but but at the same time, again, there's the art of it. Like there's the like you said, we are our own worst critics, and we want to make sure that we're doing things the right way. Like we want to make sure that we're doing things the right way, right? And it just when we care about this stuff as much as you and I do, uh,
Hmm.
I honestly think that's okay. I will wear that as a badge of honor if I have to. I really don't care. Like,
Same. I mean, I've told people that before, but like, and I mentioned it earlier. But I'll do like, I'll get it right on like the second take, right, and I'll save that as a draft, right, and then I'll do a few others. I might do like 10, and I'll watch them all, and I'm like, and I'll end up going back to that second one, and I'm like, yeah, this is the best one, and I'm like, I don't know, that was a waste of 45 fucking minutes of my life, but whatever. It happens a lot, and and I'm sure
the
there's
emo
probably somebody listening to this right now who's like, yeah, I've done that. I hope so. But
the roller coaster of emotions that you just put like described and like put into my head are just they happen so often.
oh,
It
dude,
really
it's
does. Like I don't even, God, I don't even know how to, I don't even know how to put that into words other than
yeah.
frustrating. But
But one thing I do, well, not really one thing, but like I do get asked like, sometimes like, what's like like, do you have a strategy? Do you do this? And like, yes and no. Not that like, I mean, I do have like a good amount of followers, but it's not like a shit ton where it's like, yeah, this is clearly working, and this. But
yeah,
anytime you hear like a TikTok strategist or whatever, like to try and gain followers or whatever, they all say like pretty much the same thing, where it's like you got to have like a hook for your videos, right? Where it's like something that will hook the viewer within the first 5 seconds or whatever, right? And
yeah,
that is true to an extent, but when you know like the type of content you and I create and a lot of other people like, it's we're lip syncing like TV shows or movies or whatever. So like unless you're like just talking, and it's one of those things where it's like, and I'll do this sometimes when I'm just talking about like wrestling, where I'll be like, is John Cena the greatest of all time? Or it's like that's your hook, when it's like I'll hear shit like that all the time, where it's like, was Eminem the greatest rapper of all time? Or this, I'll tell you why Eminem's the worst rapper, blah 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 blah, to hook you. With our content, we're doing like lip syncing, like you can't do that, obviously. But my way of hooking people is in my wardrobe. So
okay,
with with the different characters I do, and this is mostly like hook my own followers. Really, it's not going to gain other followers because they won't know. But like my followers, they'll know if I'm wearing a red turtleneck in a video, it's an Elmo video. You know
oh,
that.
oh, there you go, yeah, yeah, okay, yeah,
Like
I see where you're going with it, yeah,
everybody, a lot of people say like, oh, they'll say like, oh, when I see the red turtleneck, I know. Cosby sweater, obviously self made. That it's a Cosby video. You know that. I
yep,
try to wear just about the same outfit for like anytime I do a Cosby Show video, I'm wearing the same sweater. Anytime I do an Elmo video, I'm wearing the same red turtleneck. Anytime I do David Rose, it's either the same black and white like
yep, okay,
sweatshirt or like the hoodie one thing I have, and the white glasses. Like just by seeing it within like the first few seconds, like, oh, this is David Rose. I got to watch this. Or what is another one I have? Not as often, but I have a Bel Air Academy jersey. So like when I do Fresh Prince,
right, okay,
from now
yeah,
on, like I decided I was like, oh, anytime I do Fresh Prince, I have to be wearing the Bel Air Academy jersey. That way, it's Fresh Prince. So like I obviously can't do a hook like a normal people are talking about, but I can try and hook you with the wardrobe. When you see it, it's like, oh, you become familiar with what I'm wearing. Oh, blue suit and Family Feud background, Steve Harvey Family Feud. You know it's coming. So like I've been trying to do the same shit, so it's more recognizable for when people are like, oh, that's David Rose.
oh, like here we go,
Also,
yeah,
yeah, and with the David Rose thing too. I mean, a lot of people know like the duct tape nails or duct tape rings.
the duct
I
tape
do.
rings, yeah, yeah, I see those all the time. They're so,
Yeah,
God, they're so good though, they are.
yeah, and I've even had offers for people to buy me, like somebody offered me to buy me like the real David Rose rings, and I was like, no, because that kind of takes away from the uniqueness, and I mean that's part of the bit where it's funny
Yeah,
because it's duct tape, and obviously I've realized over the last 2 or 3 years that's a talking point. People are going to comment about the rings. That creates engagement, more views, so and
there
so
you
so
go,
on and so forth.
yeah, yeah,
So like and that's part of with the whole wardrobe things. You know, people I've had people say like, "Oh, it's the Cosby sweater. Love the Cosby sweater. Where did you get it?" Anytime I see that red turtleneck, I know it's Elmo. So it's like that's one of my tricks of the trade, I guess you'd say. I don't know if it necessarily creates a lot more views or whatever, but I know I will get at least some type of comments or some people like, "Oh shit," who will stick around because they know, they see. So that's like my peeling back the curtain a little bit as far as, tricks of the trade, I guess. But
Well, yeah, when you
I don't
were
even know if I've ever mentioned that to you before, but
no, I don't. Well, I think you may have a little bit. I'm not gonna you may have in like if we were ever talking about anything that we normally do. I mean, so I mean, I think I may have heard that at some point, but that's still very interesting because yeah, again, like I don't when I when I hear like strategists,
yeah,
experts,
yeah,
quote
yeah.
unquote, and I'm so sorry, I don't mean to say that anybody's not good at their job like for social media or whatever, but what I am saying is that this stuff is so um this stuff is so up in the air as far as like how you can or cannot get engagement. Like the algorithms are changing every other week, it seems like. And then, whatever. Like when I hear people say that, like you got to bring people in with a hook, like I get it to a point. Um, I get it to a point if you're trying to do something with like, I don't know, I guess if you're trying to do something with like with business or something, I mean, if I'm just gonna sit in front of the camera, I'm gonna sit in front of the camera and I want to keep like I want to say like how I'm feeling, or if I want to maybe do something like maybe that could be a little, you know, considered funny or entertaining or whatever. I'm not gonna sit there and just be like, hey, do you want to hear me do something funny or entertaining? Hey,
Hmm.
oh, okay. Like, no, that's not what I'm gonna be able to do. Um, so I don't really have a way of like hooking either, I guess. But what I don't do a lot of is I mean, I wish I did more stuff with with the wardrobe, so like it could be a little bit more dis, distinct, if you would, distinct,
Distinguishable. I don't know if that's
distinguishable,
even a word.
or
That's a word. We made it a word. If it's not
it's there.
distinguishable,
It's
yeah,
there. We got it.
that
Uh,
sounds right.
it's definitely it sounds great. It does. But what I because I try to do things as close to Chandler as possible, but like his wardrobe was very, I feel like his wardrobe was very up in the air. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, it really kind of changed throughout the.
it
He
did.
kind of
Like
had like the sweater vest thing going for a little bit, and then it
he
kind of
did.
switched to,
He switched to
you know,
like polos, and then the shirts. He'd always lift up the sleeves, and then sometimes he had t-shirts and stuff like that. I get the wardrobe thing. I do. I honestly should try to see if I could do that. If I could do that more often. That hey, I mean, I think that would be, people would maybe see that a little bit more. What I'm really trying to get back to doing is like, yes, like since I've been doing this, I became a dad, so I added dad content to my repertoire, which is good. I'm glad that I did. I tried to add some more marriage stuff. I tried to, you know, um, I think like where I get, and this is where I just struggle a lot of the times is like I think things would be better for me if I focused like today. Okay, like let's say today, you know, uh, go find a movie that you would really love to act out a scene from. Tomorrow maybe let's do a sassy exit. God, I haven't done that in forever. But
with
you see what I mean?
we need a sassy exit.
You see what I mean? You see what I mean though? Like they're like I think that in a way, if there are people that are struggling, I think the best piece of advice that I could even give them, because I quite frankly I just kind of gave it to myself, so I really should take my own advice. But um
We
maybe
always
like
should.
pick a day,
We
like
always should. We
pick a
never
day,
do.
like pick a day and dedicate a certain something to it, like so that you can, because you know how that is too. Like there's so many ideas that'll get thrown at us, and then we're like, oh man, like yes, like oh I can do that. Hell yeah, I can do that. And then the next thing you know, you end up trying to do it, and you're like, nope, nope, it's gone,
Hmm.
and it's gone.
Yeah, that
Like
happened to me
it's
like 2 nights ago.
yep, and it's one of
Yeah.
the most frustrating things. Like it is. One of the most frustrating things as far as creating content. Like I like anytime it does happen, like I get thrown into just like a fluster of just shit. Like I I can't even like it, and you saw my reaction yesterday when the tech stuff was happening with the podcast. Like you have probably never seen me like that. I was I cannot even believe I was just like, what in the world is going on here? But that is how I feel sometimes when I do have an idea and I don't end up doing it,
Oh yeah,
you know?
I feel you. I'm the same way, man. Like it's so funny because people will probably be like, "Oh, you made so much content over however many years." And it's like, "Yes, I have." But imagine all if I did all the actual ideas that I wanted to do or all the videos that I wanted to do and then sometimes it's just like the moment has passed and I'm just like, "Eh, it's
Yeah, it's kind of just like it's almost like again just kind of vanishes. It's gone, and you kind of you get in this little like this weird spot where you're just like oh you like come on man like where did that go like where did that go that would have been so good, but it's gone and it's all right. It happens to the best of us. It really does. Um, there was actually something else that we were talking about we wanted to get to. Tom, my unspectacular life.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
I wanted to get to
Great
that because
question.
it was a great question that he actually sent some really great feedback about both episodes actually. I'll have to send you what he said about the episode we did about mental health and whatnot and kind of
Yeah.
briefly kind of going over that with like our mental health check-in and whatnot. Tom, we really do appreciate it, by the way. Like, you know, any feedback that you guys can give us, it really does help. Ratings on the podcast especially will help. So please go ahead and do that. So his question was like, what did you guys like? What did either of us do like creatively as kids? You know, and I think that is such a great question because we have not like this isn't something I feel like the two of us specifically, just like the two of us that are talking about this, I think we have always been we've always been creative, but like in our own way, right?
Right. Yeah.
But like what did we do? Like what did we do creatively as kids? And I'll even go a little bit further with that. Like what did we do as kids to like get that creative spark or like to get you know, to kind of like build that up or motivate us to do something creative. And um, I guess for me, a lot of the times I will tell you it was music.
Mm. How
It
so?
was it was music. Like I don't know why, but it was like I've always been somebody who's listened to a bunch of different varieties of music, and I've you've seen I gave you a link to my playlist on Spotify, and I
Right.
remember you I remember you were like, oh damn, that's all over the place.
It was all over the place. Yeah.
But at the same time, like if I can feel the thing is like if I could feel a good beat, if I could feel a good beat and if it gives me a lot of energy and it gives I don't know, it just gives me like some what do you want to call it, like endorphins or something like that.
Yeah.
You know,
We'll go.
yeah,
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
we could say that.
Endorphins. Yeah.
You know,
That's a
we could
thing.
say that. It'll inspire me. It'll inspire me to like really get into my, you know, like, all right, like I've got some stuff here. I can go ahead and do this. I've got some stuff here. I can do this. Music just has a way of bringing that out of me for some reason.
Mm.
Um, so as a kid, I guess it really I did that as a kid and it also carried over into my, you know, into my adult life. And it's been one of the best things. It's been one of the best things that I could, you know, that I could do. So that's just me. But what about yourself?
Dude, like I would say like growing up, my this is gonna sound sound so sad and kind of depressing. Like I didn't have friends, but I actually had a lot more friends as a kid than I do now. But you have a lot more free time as a kid.
Right,
So there's a lot
right.
more time to fill. And my way of filling time, it was, using my creativity of like growing up when you're a wrestling fan, like you always have your wrestling action figures and whatever, and you have your little ring and you're just banging around, whatever. But I was having like legitimate matches. Like I was holding like legitimate pay-per-views. I was having like legitimate shows with like storylines and everything with these action figures. And I know like any wrestling fan probably was doing the same thing. But yeah, it was like doing actual moves, like real matches at like when I was like 8 years old. Like you shouldn't be knowing this shit, but I did, and it was like my mom, my dad at the time was like they're probably just looking at me like this kid's just like banging the rest of his action figures and in his wrestling ring. But I was like, no, I'm having like 5-star classic matches. Like I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's like, and honestly, it kept up. Like I did this shit up until maybe like my freshman year of high school. Not because I'm like, I'm playing with my action figures. It was like it was a way of like basically like playing a video game without actually playing a video game almost. It was like almost like a live action video game. And
Yeah.
like that's what I would do. But also, I would play like either baseball or basketball like by myself. I know that sounds so sad.
No.
But
Hey,
like
it's all right.
I one thing I am very like appreciative of my father for is like he got me like really into sports at a young age. Like I learned how to read like a box score from the
Yeah.
newspaper at like 7 or 8 years old. Like
That's
you
that's
shouldn't
awesome.
know that. You shouldn't know that shit. So
That's
like
awesome
I
though.
right. So like I learned all the who the players were. Like I've said before, I said to my buddy like a little while ago, I was like I knew more about baseball when I was like 10 years old than I do now. Like I knew more about the rosters and everything at like 10 years old than I do now. And I didn't even have the internet. But like I would like write down rosters like in my notebook who's like first through ninth, right?
Yep.
And I would play like games like wiffle ball and like
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
it's like Kenny Lofton's up and like I would hit it and like depending on where it goes I'm like oh that's an out or like oh that's a single or I would throw like a tennis ball at the stairs and depending on the distance maybe it's a home run might be a set might be a double and like I would write them down like what they got in my book in my
Oh
notebook
my God. That's
and it was like
amazing.
I know bro like it was it but like I it sounds like I had no friends when I say this shit even though I did have a lot of friends I just had a lot of free time and like if I could if like my dad was at work my mom was at work whatever and I couldn't go anywhere I'm like all right I'm just gonna go play
We go play
what
baseball.
gonna go play baseball in the front yard or I'll do it with basketball like I collect cards a lot too like baseball and basketball cards and basketball I would like have all the rosters on my cards and if I didn't have a player I would make one I would make a card
Oh,
and
okay. All right.
you know what I mean to put in with so I could have like a whole roster out there and then I would have my notebook and yeah that's it's that's how creative I was as a kid and like I as I obviously got older I would do a little different shit and yeah
That's awesome. No, I
I
love that.
know I
I
don't think
love
I've ever
that.
told anybody
No, that's so
uh,
good. That's so good. But we appreciate that.
I promise I had friends as a kid I really do I know it sounds like and I also had an older sibling I know it sounds like it's very like only child behavior.
Well, no. I wouldn't even say that.
No,
I
it does. It sounds like only child behavior, but although to my defense, my sister was like 5 years older than me and a sister. So,
yeah, yeah.
but yeah, no. Anytime I was like, can't stay inside all the day. Not like kids these days can't be on the iPad. Got
Oh, of course,
gotta go
of
play.
course.
Gotta go play. I gotta go play baseball, man.
You got to go fend for. Yeah, you got to go outside.
It's the World Series. You know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that I mean, hey, I mean, listen, I think on that note, like, I think, hey, look, that's great. Like, I love that we, I love that we kind of I love that we kind of had this dynamic right now where we didn't really know certain things about each other, but that just made me appreciate you even more as a person. Like, I don't even care. I don't even care. You call it only child behavior. I call it fantastic. I mean, I love that. But I love that. But you know what though? And the reason why I love that is because, um, as like as a kid and everything too. Like that's what
Yeah.
we would want. That's what we would want. Like that's what I would want for my kids. Like I would want my
Right.
kids
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
able. I would want that my kids to be able to kind of like you know uh, get that get their minds going and and like trying to do different things creatively in their own way and like if they didn't have certain access to something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of a lost I feel like that's kind of a lost art.
Definitely. It's funny too because like I guarantee you, if you were to ask my mom, like if she had any idea what I was doing, she had no fucking clue. She was just be like, "Oh, you're just outside shooting around, or
No, there's more
throwing
to it.
throwing the tennis ball at the stairs, and occasionally accidentally hit the door." And she was like, "Oh, I remember you hitting the door, and I have to yell at you." She would probably say that, but like she wouldn't have any idea that I was like simulating baseball or basketball games
There's more to it. There's
with
more to
myself.
it. More
Yeah,
to it
I had
than
no
what you're
idea.
actually
Oh, he's
seeing.
just banging around with his action figures in front of the TV. It's like, no, man, I'm having a
People would
full
pay.
blown pay-per-view, five
Yes.
star classic matches.
People
You
would pay to
had
people
no
would
idea.
pay to see that.
Yeah, no idea.
Oh my God.
But yeah, it's that was that was the start of my creative process.
Well,
Like another thing, me and my not really creative. Well, it's creative, but it was very also reckless. Me and my buddy would try until like when he would come over, my friend, we would try and to reenact like American Gladiators. Me and my sister would too, actually. We would like replay like the Eliminator and the American Gladiators.
oh my God.
Yeah.
That
Like,
dude.
both running up the stairs, like and then like running through like certain obstacles. Yeah. We
I'd
were
just be me, I'd build forts. I'd build forts all the time. Build
oh
it
yeah,
just
yeah,
like out of
yeah.
pillows, blankets, whatever. I mean, I just did that with my kids the other day, actually. I was building forts with them out of like those little play mats and whatnot. And I just like I literally created like a tower type thing where I could just like run through it and like show them, like show them like, hey, like this, oh, come on, like this is gonna be really cool. And then of course they did it and they're laughing so hard. And I'm like, yeah, that carried over. Let's go.
Yeah.
Carried over from my childhood. Let's go. Let's do that.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, I
But
love it.
yeah,
I love it.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
hey,
that's
I
creative.
mean,
That's part of our creative process.
it is.
Yeah.
It
I mean, we
is.
didn't talk about ours
Yeah.
specifically, but
Yeah.
um,
Well, I mean, with ours, like with ours, ours specifically, and I honestly like we could probably get into it actually in another episode or something like that. Maybe we could actually do a Q&A where people would ask us specifically about those
yeah,
collabs. And then
yeah,
we could go ahead and like put that together. I think that would actually be really cool. So sorry, people, we're gonna have to leave you wanting more, and that's just how we do things.
yeah,
But
yeah.
but
We're
hey,
gonna leave
listen,
you with a hook.
we
We
got
gotta
well,
leave you with
hey,
the hook.
you want to know how we you want to know how we do our collabs specifically? You're gonna have to wait. Um,
And that, my friend, is called a callback.
it is.
We call
Oh
that a
my God,
callback in the biz.
how you do it? That's how you do
Yeah.
it. Well, we really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen today. Thank you so much. You do not know the amount of pain that we have had these to get this one out. We really do, we really hope that you guys enjoy it. And again, like leave us some feedback, whenever you want, ask us questions. Reach out to us too, because if anything, again, like we are doing this for ourselves, but we are doing this for you guys as well because we really, we love you and appreciate you. So,
Always
all
appreciate the support.
yeah,
Means
all the
more than you
vibes.
know.
All the vibes, man, with Jimmy and Derek. Until next time, we hope you guys hope you guys are well, and yeah, we'll catch you on the next one.
Zip it up or zip it out.